Hello stitching friends, I'm Amy, I'm the Globetrotting Stitcher. I'm here with Gary, also a Globetrotting Stitcher, and we're very happy to be back with you again today. It's been another month-long gap. We seem to be falling into this kind of just not being able to do videos as often as we'd like, but we're going to keep trying to do every 2 weeks, and then sometimes it might slip to a month. So we appreciate your understanding that life just sometimes requires us to be doing other things. In any case, for those of you who are finding us for the first time, welcome. We hope that you enjoy what we're showing today and what we're sharing. This is a YouTube video about cross stitch, so if you are interested in cross stitch, you have come to the right place. Those of you who are longtime friends and subscribers, welcome back. We are so happy to be with you again. It's great to share this time with you, and we appreciate that out of all the wonderful Flosstube videos that are out there, you choose to share some of your viewing time with us. So sit back, relax, get a cup of coffee, and we will share what's been going on with us and what we've been working on. So I think just a couple of quick life updates, nothing too involved. Sophie and Bear are both doing really well. Those of you who are new, Sophie and Bear are two of our 3 dogs. And in our last update, we had shared some news about Sophie, just some recent medical stuff she'd been going through, but she and Bear are both doing great. And so shortly after our last video, Summer decided that it was her turn to attempt to bankrupt the family. So we were hanging out with her, and I was sitting on the couch with her one night, and she was licking at one of her paws quite significantly. And so I kind of nudged her little snout away and looked more closely and saw that she had a great big, nasty, ugly red and white lump kind of on the side of one of her paw pads. So it was bleeding, and it was, you know, kind of ugly looking. So we called the vet the next day and sent some photos over, and they said, yeah, we'll fit her in. And so the long and the short of it was, the vet said, well, it could either, you know, just be what was it, Gary? It was 2 different things, and they weren't sure which it was, like a benign cyst or a cancerous cyst, or do you remember?
No.
No?
I'm just going to go, it was something or nothing. Turned out to be nothing. So. Yeah.
But they recommended that we try and keep her from licking it for a couple of weeks and monitor it. And so that if she wasn't licking it, it would give it a chance to resolve itself and heal. And then if after several weeks it wasn't showing improvement, then they wanted to have her come in, and they would need to surgically remove it and test it and all the stuff. So anyway, we looked at a couple different options, and we tried the donut, and because it was a front paw, the donut wasn't really keeping her from licking, and we didn't want to put her in a cone because no dog likes to be in a cone. So anyway, we got her some doggy overalls that kind of strapped up around her neck and covered her whole leg, her front legs and her front paws, and she did not like those. But they did keep her from licking on her paw, and thankfully the issue seems to have resolved itself and gone away. So everyone is doing well, and we're hoping to keep things that way. Other than that, we're just kind of here living life, being busy. One of the main reasons why we're coming back to you later than normal is that we did have a holiday. So many of you who've been around for a long time know that every year we go on vacation with some very good friends of ours. And so we took our annual trip in October, just a week and a half or so ago, and went to Montreal and Quebec City in Canada. And so we'll share more about that later, just some fun stuff from the trip and some photos. But all that to say, we had a phenomenal time. So more to come there. So with that, let's get right into the stitching, no further delays. And I have a couple of finishes to show you. No fully finished objects, but 2 nice finishes. So the first one is my sampler. And I had mentioned in our last video update that I was coming really close to getting a finish on this. And so I have been stitching Brick House Sampler by With Thy Needle and Thread for a few months now. I stitched this project on a piece of 40 count Abyssinian linen by R&R Reproductions, using most of the called for flosses, but I did make a few substitutions because Some of the called for colors looked very different in real life than they do in the sample photo, and I wanted to be a bit truer. I liked the colors in the mock-up photo. I also want to mention that this is a project that I have been stitching as a stitch along with my friend Sarah. You often hear me talk about Sarah. We've done several stitch alongs together now. She is on Instagram. Her name is Stitch Addict there. And then we've also been stitching along with another friend on Instagram whose Instagram name is Chasing Alex. So Sarah actually finished her version of this toward the end of September. So she was the first one to wrap it up, and then I finished it a couple weeks later. So the last time you saw my brick house sampler, I was very close to a finish. I had less than 1,000 stitches to go. So I had finished stitching the bottom, the floral border that runs along the bottom of the design. I had also stitched in the bird and the branch and kind of all of the stuff that goes with that is on the right side of the house. And I'd stitched in the flower box underneath it. I'd also stitched in the third and final dog in the design, which represents Summer, one of our dogs. And then stitched in a few more letters and then started on the tree on the right-hand side of the design. So as I said, very close to a finish. And here is my completed project. So as you can see, all I really had to do to finish it up was finish stitching the grass along the bottom here, finish this last set of 5 letters, and finish the tree and the little kind of longer grasses, I guess you would say, that are underneath the tree. So this one is, I have totally finished. Now I just have to pick out a frame and get it framed up at some point here. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. This was a lot of fun to stitch. It took me a little bit longer than I thought it would, but this year has been, this year has been a little bit sometimes tricky to find stitching time just because it's been a busy year and a lot of travel. But I really love it. And I think one of the things that I love most about this project is the personalization that I was able to do with the 3 dogs in the design. So many of you have heard me talk about this before, but the chart has 3 dogs that are underneath the trees here, and all of them are charted in this kind of caramely brown color that you see on the dog on the right-hand side of the design. And because we have 3 dogs and there were 3 dogs in the chart, I wanted to modify the dogs a little bit so that they would look like our dogs do. So on the far left, we have Sophie. Sophie is black and she's got a little bit of a white, some white markings on her chest. So I modified that dog to look like her and gave it a pink collar like our Sophie has. The next dog over I modified to look like Bear, who is our German Shepherd mix. So I made that dog black as well, gave it pointy ears and put a blue collar on to match Bear's collar. And then the dog over here underneath the tree on the right, I was actually able, the called for floss matched Summer's coat really nicely, so I was able to keep that, although I did switch out a few stitches to give her her white chest marks and then her blue collar as well. So I really love that this piece has those kind of customizations that make it a little bit more personal for us. I think the other major customization, aside from some of the floss changes I did, was that in my initials, in all of the letters in the alphabet across the top, I did modify the colors of my initials within the alphabet so that those stand out a little bit. So anyway, that's my finish on Brick House Sampler. This one was a lot of fun to stitch. I think it's going to look beautiful in our home when it's all framed up. And it was really fun to stitch along with both Sarah and Alex. So looking forward to future stitch alongs with them if they're interested. So there we go. Okay. I'm trying not to wrinkle this too much because it has been ironed. Okay, and then I have one other finish which was also very close to a finish in the last video. And that is one of my travel stitches that I am planning as a gift. So I have been working for the last several months on stitching some ornaments for several of our family members. And this one is for our nephew Callan. So I have been stitching, I was stitching the woodland truck, and this, or excuse me, the chart is called Woodland Holiday. It's by Leela's Studio, and there's 5 or 6 different designs within the chart. And so I stitched the one that had the truck on it. I stitched this on a piece of 36 count Mocha Edinburgh linen by Zweigart and just used all the called for DMC flosses. So the last time you saw this, it was actually a brand new start, but I was already quite far along by the time you saw it. I had already stitched the full outline of the sweater and had been filling in, I already filled in quite a few of the trees, had started working on the truck and the bear. So now that it is finished, here's how it looks. I'm sorry that this is wrinkled. I've gotten several projects on this piece of fabric and haven't had a chance. Hi, sweetheart. Yes, I know. Yes, you want some attention. And so since I'm still stitching some project on this piece of fabric, I've not washed and ironed it yet. So please excuse the wrinkles. But anyway, here is my finish. So again, I completely stitched this as called for, with the exception of stitching in our nephew Callan's name along the bottom, so that I can turn this into a Christmas ornament as one of his gifts this Christmas. So as with all of these little Christmas sweaters, they're relatively quick stitches and they're a lot of fun to work on. And so I really enjoyed stitching this. So that is my finish on the Woodland Holiday truck. All right. So that's it for finishes. Let's move on to some whips. So the first one that I'm going to show you is my monthly morning stitch. And for those of you who are new to the channel, monthly morning stitches, I should say I have a fairly structured rotation that I follow pretty religiously. I've played around with it a little bit this year, just because there's a project that you'll hear about later that I'm pushing really hard to get a finish in 2025. But aside from that, as I said, I've got a pretty structured rotation that I really stick to, and that works really well for me. But what it means is that I just don't get to touch as many projects, and my whip count stays pretty well under control. And so last year I introduced what I'm calling my monthly morning stitch, which is every month, if I've got a little bit of extra time in the morning before I start my work day, I put in a little bit of time stitching on a project. And so each one of the projects that I do in that category of monthly morning, I kind of designate 2 months out of the year to work on those. And I don't really have any stitching goals around those. It's just whatever time I can put into them, and they're going to have slow progress, but it means I get to work on some of these projects. So the project that I'm working on through October is a project called Autumn Creek Mill. This is a project by Luca S. So it is a kit, and I'm just using the kit fabric and floss. So the last time I worked on this was in the month of June, and when you saw it last, I had finished most of the smaller blue hot air balloon that's on the far left of the design, and it's further away in the background. I had filled in a bit more of the sky across the top and had started stitching on the mountain that's kind of, you can tell it's in the distant background of the design, as well as a few stitches in what's meant to be kind of the forest, which is still in the background, but it's more in the foreground than that mountain is in the back. I had also put a few stitches in on the second hot air balloon. So here's where I am so far in October. So I've only put in a little over 900 stitches so far, and but I'm happy with my progress generally. So as you can see, I've carried more of this background down. We've got more of this kind of forest and greenery here underneath the mountain. I've filled in more of the sky in between the hot air balloons, as well as carried sky over farther along the top. I actually got to the end of page 1 as far as working my way across the top. So that whole row that goes across has now moved into page 2. And then I have put in more stitches on this second hot air balloon, although I still have quite a ways to go in filling that in. So not too bad for how busy this month has been. And I'm hoping to get more time on it this week, but it's been a lot of fun to work on, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a really beautiful project. I'd love to be able to make more progress on it because I'm excited to get into some of the other elements of the design. But it's good for now, and so that is where I am on my monthly morning stitch for October, Autumn Creek Mill. All right, next project I'm going to show you is my weekend stitch. And so I am working on Butterfly Port Mauve by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is a full coverage project, as you may have guessed, seeing as how it's the Heaven and Earth Designs. I am stitching this on a piece of 28 white easy grid Lugana 2/1 using a combination of half stitch and continental stitch. And for those of you, because I frequently get questions about what I mean by that, is I stitch one row in half stitch moving from left to right, and then the next row down of that color I stitch moving in the opposite direction from right to left, which is a continental stitch. And what it does is it pulls the fabric on the back in two opposite directions so that it helps to prevent warping that you would otherwise be more likely to get. Okay, so the last time you saw this, I was just over 42,000 stitches. I'm currently at a little over 42,600 stitches. So I've put in about 550 stitches total. That's far less than what my target is. I'm way behind on my goals for this, but that's just how this year has been. When I stitched it before, I had been stitching in more of the leaves in the bouquet of violets that's in the section where I'm working it. And then I had started, there was kind of one violet flower that was further down toward the bottom of the bouquet that I had also started filling in. So here's where it is right now. Not a ton of noticeable progress since it's only 550 stitches, but that is, it is what it is. But as you can see, I've really gotten more of that fill-in done on the violet flower, as well as gotten a nice, a better part of the background stitched in on that. So enough progress to be a little bit noticeable, although it's not going to knock anybody's socks off. But that's just how this is one of those slow and steady projects, and we just make progress on it as we're able. So that is where I am on Butterfly Port Mauve, and I have some plans to catch up on my goals for this before the end of the year and get it to where I'd like it to be before we roll into 2026. But this is where we are right now. So I think you've heard enough of my rambling. Let's give Gary a chance to talk about the projects that he's been working on.
It's probably better to say the projects I haven't been working on, I think, anyway. So the first one we'll talk about is Louis Armstrong. I think I worked on that up until we left for our trip, but I haven't worked on it since we've been back, and that's about a week ago. And the last time you saw it, I think I was just working out the part of his face and where the trumpet would go. There was still a lot of room there to fill, I guess. So here it is now. And you can see if you don't have to look at it oddly to start to see that his face is coming out, and you can see where the trumpet is, and you actually get a grasp of how big this thing is. It's easily 2.5 feet, this way, not this way, that would be wrong. Anyway, but yeah, it's massive. But the weird thing is the last pages, they have a lot of gaps, so I don't know how long it's going to take me to finish it. It's going to be a matter of when I work on it, I think, because it did not take long to get to the point where we're just above his left ear the last time I worked on it. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to be done before 2026, but I don't see it making it to the summer of 2026. At any rate, maybe not even spring, but we'll see how things go. So that's where I am on Louis Armstrong. The other one I'm working on is Unexpected Visitors, and that's by Night Spirit Studio. That's an Etsy shop, And it's a 16 count clay Ada, and I'm using the called for flosses, except for the red that we made the mistake on. I grabbed the wrong red, and there's so much in it, we're not taking it out. Anyway, no, white, the wrong white, not red. Anyway, so the last time you saw it is pretty much the same place it is right now. So really I just have to work on it. I'm not entirely sure why we're showing you something I haven't done anything on, but I wanted to be the first in the Flosstube world to show you work I haven't done.
That is my fault. I forgot you hadn't worked on it.
Anyway, so there we go. That's where we are on unexpected visitors. I expect there'll be 1 or 2 more stitches between now and the next time we chat. And then that brings us on to our action figure, which also gets us to talk about the our contest. Amy will follow up with the other details once I'm done. But for the most part, we have a winner, and that was for the Frogman giveaway, the Frogman action figure. Here's a picture of said Frogman action picture. No, action figure, not action picture. I could make it an action picture. At any rate, the winner is Cindy Martinez 524. So Cindy, I believe we'll need your address, and I think to keep it efficient, we're just going to have it shipped to you. I was thinking of having it shipped to us, making sure it was okay, and then shipping it out. But it seems like it'd be more efficient to ship it directly, and we can go from there. Anyway, I think DM. She'll tell you how to do all that stuff. You don't want to put your address on any comments or anything. Anyway. So that's where we are with that. And as far as this action figure, it's it's not quite Christmas yet, but I couldn't resist getting a stormtrooper with reindeer antlers, and he's brown. He's right here, so you see what I mean. I had to get him, and that's that. I think our next holiday is Halloween, so I'm way ahead of the game, I think. But anyway, that's where I am on the progress of my things and where we are in the contest.
Awesome. So Cindy, our winner, if you can email us at globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com, send us your mailing address. And as Gary said, we will have the Frogman action figure shipped directly to your home or to wherever you'd like it sent. We will not be putting a comment on your comment. So if you get a comment on your comment, whether that's Cindy or anybody else, it's not from us. Please don't respond to it. I will tag you, Cindy, in our description box below the video. But yeah, please go ahead and email us at globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com, and we will get that out to you as soon as possible. So I have a couple more whips to show you before we move on. So the next piece I'm going to show you is my fancy lady. I am working on County Fair by Lavender and Lace. I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Oaken Belfast linen by Picture This Plus, and making some good progress on this. So the last time you saw this, I had finished stitching the lady's hat and her face, as well as one of her hands. She has 2. which is the standard number. And I had started really filling in a lot of the produce. So on either side of the design, there are kind of garlands and displays on either side of her at the county fair. And then there's a table that's full of produce off to the left of her. And so I had started stitching in and filling in a fair bit of that produce and really getting down into the bounty of the table that she is, I assume, selling her goods at the fair. And then I had also started stitching in more of the garland that hangs down behind her on the right-hand side of the design, including there's like a kind of a fun, looks like a braided garlic garland thing that's hanging down. So I had been working on that. I had also finished stitching her sleeves and her bodice and the top of her pinafore, and started putting in a few stitches on her red and green plaid shawl. So here's where she is right now. So as you can see, I've made some nice progress on this. I'm almost finished, not quite, but almost finished filling in the produce on her table. So we've got a couple of cauliflowers, looks like some apples. There's a basket of maybe flowers or something or other. We've got a little bit of a tablecloth here. And so have made some good progress filling that section in. I've also carried down more of the garland and drapings over here behind her, as well as started working in this pot that's sitting behind her. You can see there's more of her shawl filled in, as well as now we're getting down into the bottom part of her apron and or pinafore, and then really made a lot of progress carrying her skirt down toward the bottom of the design. So I think I'm I'd say about 15 to 20 stitches from the absolute bottom of the chart. So we're starting to really get a good sense now of just how tall this design will be and kind of the overall dimensions of it. But she is really pretty. I'm really enjoying working on her. And I think she's just a lovely piece in terms of just the richness of her color. I think I've mentioned this in prior videos that I didn't realize just how many different colors were going to be in this piece, and how saturated the color of the design was going to be. But I think it's very beautiful, and I'm enjoying working on her. If I made a big push, I could finish her by the end of the year, but it would have to be a big push. So I think she'll be an early 2026 finish. But that is where I am on my county fair. Okay, the last whip I have to share with you is my full coverage piece. And I saved this as the last whip to show you because if you're not sitting down, sit down. If you are sitting down, maybe lie down, because I've made unbelievable progress on this since the last time you saw it. So I am stitching Rose Trellis In by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am working on 28 count white Lugana 2/1 using a combination of half stitch and continental stitch. And the last time you saw this, I was almost halfway across the design on the very bottom row of pages. I had almost completed the path that runs down from the front door. I had put in more of the grass and the brick border that's along the side of that. And was working more underneath the sign, the inns sign, as well as getting in some of the flower patches along the walkway and the borders of the road. So I have had 2 full rotations on this since our last video because I needed to restructure the timing of some of my rotations to maximize my stitching time on this. So this has seen 2 full weeks of work, and I made absolutely incredible progress. So I managed to get in over 8,300 stitches in 2 weeks, which is mind-blowing. I am at 99.3%. I have now finished pages 33 and 34, and I have partial of 2 pages left to complete before this is done. Just over 1,600 stitches to go. So here's where it is right now. Can you believe this? It looks amazing. So as you can see, I've done a ton of fill in here in the grass. I've completed a lot of these beautiful little patches of flowers along the roadway here, as well as finished all of this border flowers by the walkway. Filled in a great deal more of the road. We have a little flying fairy that's come in here now. And this little flower bed is now almost finished as well. So I literally just have, like I said, just over 1,600 stitches to complete along with this road. This will be a finish the next time it comes up in my rotation. It will be done in November, a month ahead of schedule, and I am super excited. So stay tuned, come back, because this is going to be a finish the next time I pull it out. So this is where I am on my Rose Trellis In. Okay, so I have, that was all the whips. I have one new start to show you, and then we'll move on to talking about what our plans are for the next couple of weeks. So because I finished my Brickhouse sampler, I got to have a small start on a new project in my sampler category. I don't know if you'd call it a sampler or not, but it's gonna count as a sampler for me. And this is a project I have been in love with for a couple of years. It's been sitting in my kitted up pile waiting and ready to go. And so I have started Ernestine Brier 1909 by Reflet de Soie. I am working this project a little bit unusually. on a piece of 32 count lemon yellow linen by Zweigart. And I am using the DMC conversion for this rather than the called for silks. Let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention about this project is I am stitching this in memory of my paternal grandmother. Her name was Emma Castor, and she passed away just before Christmas of 2012, right after Gary and I right after we got engaged. And so Gary never got to meet her, but she was a pretty amazing woman. And the very first time I saw this chart, it instantly said Grandma Castor to me. And it was funny because I showed it to my dad and I was like, this makes me think of Grandma. And he's like, yep, that just looks like her. So here is my start on Ernestine Brier, 1909. Very small start. I only had, I think, a day or so to work on this before we went on our trip. But it's a respectable start nonetheless, and it's going to get some more progress here fairly soon. But I really love it. I love the soft, beautiful pastels in this design. It is a surprisingly large design. I've got this fabric folded up, but it's actually, I had to get a fat half rather than being able to stitch on a fat quarter. And I wanted to stitch this on a higher count. This is a 32 count. I would have preferred a 36 or even a 40, but Zweigart does not offer this color of fabric outside of a 28 or a 32. And I just really wanted this beautiful, soft, buttery yellow. I know it's called lemon yellow, but it doesn't look like lemon yellow to me. It looks like a nice buttery yellow. So anyhow, this is a project that I have been really looking forward to working on for a very long time. I'm so excited to finally have it started. And I love, I got the idea of stitching memorial samplers from Olivia from Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. She has done a number of them for her family members, and it's a way that she really celebrates her heritage. And I just think that's a wonderful way to do that. And so, yeah, this one will be in honor of my lovely grandmother who is no longer with us. And so looking forward to continuing to work on this. This is also a project, if you want to see a version that is a bit farther along, Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff started this project a couple years ago, and it's really beautiful. So if you're not watching Jessie, I don't know where you've been, because Jessie is one of my favorite Flosstubers. She's just a joy to watch, and she stitches so many beautiful things. So definitely go check this out on her channel because she is working on this one as well. But this is my start on Ernestine Brier, 1909. So that is it as far as stitching projects. As I said, we do have some stitching plans over the next couple of weeks. So we are, thankfully, I've got a little bit of a gap before I have to go on my next trip. So we should be able to come back with our next video in roughly 2 weeks' time. I've probably just given it the kiss of death by saying that, but it looks good right now. I do have some heavy work travel between now and the end of the year. And throughout mid-November to early December, so we might have another gap after this next video. At any rate, I'm going to spend one more day working on County Fair, see how much more progress I can put in on her. Then I'm going to spend a week working on my seasonal project, which is Spring Delivery by Scattered Seed Samplers. It's a very small project, and I've already, probably about 50% of the way done with it. So that one I expect will be a finish, and I'll be able to start the next project that is a companion to that. So looking forward to showing you both of those in our next video. I will be getting back to my sampler to Ernestine Brier, so that will be coming up. We'll probably have more progress to show on that in the next video. And then in the weeks after that, I'll be, as I said, getting back to Rose Trellis In, gonna push that one to the finish line, which I can't quite believe we're finally here, as well as working on my Cabin Fever, which you did not see today, which is my wild card stitch. So I will spend another week in terms of my monthly morning stitch. I'll spend another week working on Autumn Creek Mill to get us through the end of October. And then for the month of November, I will be switching to another Luca S kit, which is Not Forgotten. And I'm really looking forward to that one. It's not gotten as much love as some of my other monthly morning stitches, so I'm hoping to give it some better time in this November. As Gary said, he's going to be working on both of his projects, and so we look forward to sharing those with you. So for those of you who are only interested in the stitching, this is a great stopping off point. We are not going to be talking about any more stitching the rest of this video, but we did want to share with you just a few photos and stories because, as I said, we've just returned from our annual vacation, and we spent about a week in Montreal and Quebec City, and so we had an outstanding time. So if this is your stopping off point, thanks so much again for spending time with us. If you want to hear about our trip, stick around for just a few more minutes. So we spent about 4.5 days, I want to say, in Montreal, and then about 2 days in Quebec City, and then there were some travel days in there, but we had an outstanding time. We really, really loved both. You know, I have often heard people talk about how that area of Canada is sort of like the Europe of North America. And it absolutely was. Montreal has, you know, as you would expect, as the French-speaking province in Canada, Quebec has a very French influence in its architecture and culture and food. And so we really, really enjoyed that. Montreal, I was sharing with our friends, I was a bit surprised because Montreal felt very French in terms of the architecture to me. And Quebec City, which certainly has a very clear French influence in its architecture, actually, a lot of the sections we were in felt more British to me, more English. And so I found that very interesting. But in Montreal, which is where we spent more of our time, we stayed in Old Montreal. We just did a ton of walking every day. So we did spend time. We visited the Notre Dame. I don't know if it's considered a basilica or a cathedral, but we did visit Notre Dame and the square in front of Notre Dame.
The square had like buskers every day. So
Yeah.
we got pictures of people playing music. And you can't say they draw a large crowd, but you can say a lot of people walk past them. So maybe that's not so good, but they get a lot of exposure in the plaza there. Yeah, I was there, saw it.
He was there. He did see it. No, it was really nice, and it was actually it was nice music. I don't know if they were on a schedule because you'd see a lot of the same people every day, but there was nobody that was ever competing or overlapping. It was kind of like everybody sort of did their set, or had their session, and then moved on, and somebody else came in. But yeah, it was nice. We also saw the Old Town Hall, which was just beautiful, and they let us go to the upstairs section where there was a chandelier, a beautiful old chandelier that weighed over a ton? It was like 1.5 tons or something.
I didn't try to lift it. I couldn't tell you.
Oh, stop it.
You don't have to tell me twice about how heavy that thing is.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was massive.
It was massive.
Yeah, and heavy.
We went to some really nice museums. We walked along the waterfront, got some nice pictures there. There was another old church that we went to that...
Well, there's old churches everywhere. So, yeah, they're everywhere.
But this
there's
old
nothing
church...
wrong with that. It's like being back in the Northeast. It's like, oh, look at that church. No, that church. You walk a block. Oh, look at that church. Look at that church. There's just churches everywhere. And that's cool because most of them are pretty old in terms of the architecture. So a lot of them have the domes and stuff like that. It's just really neat architecture to see. Yeah,
it was beautiful. This particular old church, we actually got to climb up to the bell tower. Well, I don't know if it was a bell tower, but we climbed up.
It could have been at one point.
It could have been at one point. It was a tower. We climbed up into it.
Could have been where the novices used to go to smoke cigarettes or something. Oh my
goodness, Gary.
Yeah, have a beer or two.
Oh my God.
Nobody would see that up there at that time frame.
There were angels on either side. Anyway, it was really pretty. We also ate incredibly well the entire time we were there. So we did try poutine. We were told you must try the poutine, and we really liked it. So for those who don't know, poutine is a Canadian specialty, and it's French fries with gravy and cheese curds, and then some places zhuzh it up a bit and put like different meats in it. So we tried poutine at like a street front cafe pub kind of place. It was really good. I thought it was a winner for me. You liked it too, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You
it
did.
was delicious.
It was delicious. Oh my gosh. We had a lot of great cocktails. Also, one of you, so I had posted some pictures while we were still in Montreal of where we were, and one of you very kindly responded to that and said that we should consider trying your favorite Greek restaurant in town, which just literally happened to be in the same block as the pub that we were drinking at that night. And so we ended up going to having that Greek restaurant for dinner the next night. Thank you for the recommendation. That was outstanding.
It was.
Yeah. In my many years ago, in my younger days, I worked at a Greek restaurant, and I love Greek food and I miss it terribly. And so it was a real treat to have good Greek food again. So that was great. We were just, one of the other things, we were just so impressed by the quantity of fresh, delicious food, the beautiful, like lots of good produce, not a lot of heavily processed stuff. It was just fantastic. Like tasted delicious, tasted fresh, tasted healthy. We loved it.
That, and there was art everywhere.
Yeah.
There were statues. There's all sorts of stuff. We'll just put some kind of collage-y type thing up. But yeah, the art was everywhere, yeah. And Montreal is a beautiful city, and so is Quebec. Quebec seems to be a bit more. It seems to be older, which should be, I guess. But we stayed in the old part of Montreal, so we were constantly looking at the contrast. But they're both very beautiful cities. If you get a chance to see them, you should go.
Yeah, they're highly recommend. We also, while we were in Montreal, so the friends that we travel with are big sports fans, and there were a lot of sports on this trip because the Mariners were playing against the Blue Jays in the American League Championship Series in baseball. So we watched a lot of Mariners games while we were there. And we experienced the highs of the early wins and the lows of the Mariners ultimately bombing out, which was really sad for Seattle fans. But our friends are also big hockey fans, and it just worked out that the Habs, which are the official name is the Canadiens, but the Habs is what everybody calls them. That's the local Montreal team. They had their season opener with playing against the Seattle Kraken the week that we were there. And apparently they only play like one game with each other all season long. So the Habs come to Seattle for one game and Seattle comes to the Habs for one game. And it just happened that the Seattle coming to Montreal game was the week we were there. So it was pretty special to be able to go. That was the first hockey game Gary and I had ever attended. And holy smokes, the Habs fans are like Habs fans. It was like you could tell that this is a city that loves its team. And like just such classy fans. Like we really had a great time. The guys.
And by class, what she's trying to convey, and I'm sorry if I'm being rude here.
Nope.
What she's trying to convey is we all had Kraken gear on, and we think there may have been a total of 10 folks with Kraken gear on that we experienced, and we were 4 of those 10 folks. That we may have seen with Kraken gear on. Everyone else had half white, half red face. Not all of them, but they had the red gear on. And the beautiful thing about it is no one ever felt like that there was this antagonistic thing going on. It was just a game, and everybody enjoyed it, and it was fun. It was a good. I don't know that I'm a hockey fan. I picked up a lot. I could tell you this much: the Canadiens, or whatever they're called. They know how to handle that puck. Let me tell you. Yeah,
they
could
good.
Wishy bop. Yeah, it goes right where they want it to go. They know what they're doing.
They did. You need to calm down.
Puck handlers.
Oh my word.
Yeah, all right.
They were good.
Yeah, they were good. They were real good.
Yeah,
they beat us. So
they did beat us.
but it was
in overtime.
So it's a long story.
But it was really cool because the guys who were sitting behind us were very enthusiastic Habs fans, but they were so classy that like even when the Krakens would score a goal, they would like fist bump our friends to congratulate them for, hey, your team scored a goal. And so of course our friends would fist bump them back when the Habs would score. I just found that really classy. I found like when they sang the Canadian national anthem at the beginning of the game and just like the heartfelt, like everybody in the stadium singing along, and it was really heartfelt. That I found that very moving. Anyway, I would just like to, I mean, like, not only did we have a great time at the game, it was a really fun game, but just Canadians in general, y'all are super nice. We really were impressed. Just people were so polite, they were kind. You know, they would see you, like cars would be driving by, they'd see you trying to take a picture of a beautiful building. And literally at least once a day, somebody would be driving by watching you try to take a picture. They would stop their car so they wouldn't get in your picture. Like, just so considerate. You know, people would see you like looking something up and they'd come up to you on the street and just trying to help you figure out what you were doing or where you were going, or they'd explain something to you, and just really nice people. So Canadians, we love you. We loved you anyway, but we love you even more now.
I'm not going to toss that love around that easily.
Oh, I am.
I'd come back for another dinner, sure. Yeah, sure, you bet.
I would move to Canada in a heartbeat. You loved it. We also, in Montreal, we went to Mount Royal Park one day. It was beautiful.
The leaves are turning.
Oh, it was so pretty. It was really pretty. We did a lot of walking while we were up there.
I got a picture of a squirrel.
He did. Black squirrel.
No, I didn't get the black squirrel.
Oh, I got the black squirrel. But
that's not really a picture, though.
He was. I beg your pardon.
There's a black mark on this sea of grass.
He is more than that. He's just a little bit blurry.
Looks like somebody lost their boa.
He does not.
Oh, I should be looking this way. Excuse me.
You are so disrespectful.
I am.
Anyway, that was Montreal. Quebec was great. It was beautiful. We did a ton of walking and shopping. The other thing is, like, I don't know if it's like all the shops that do this or if there's like a company that does it, but almost all the shop fronts in Quebec City had these beautiful autumn displays. It was just gorgeous. Everything was just beautiful. And we found a shop in Quebec City that, the eye place.
Yeah, iris something or other. They take a picture of your iris and then put it in a jewelry or whatever. They do a couple things with it. So we did that. I got one of her eye, and here it is.
Yeah, that's me eyeball.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I'm getting that on a bracelet. I'll be wearing that all around. And I'll just be doing this all day.
So I can keep my eye on him.
Well, it'll be facing that way, so she'll be looking up my nose.
Oh, man. Anyway, I think that was it.
Yeah, that was it. We're done.
We're done.
Yeah.
It was lovely. So, all right. I think that does it for us today. So thank you for spending time with us. And we hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up. It helps us find new viewers on the YouTube algorithm. We'd love to hear your comments. We do read all of them and at least put a heart on them, even if we don't get a chance to respond with a comment. But we do read them. You're welcome to email us, globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com. You could also follow me on Instagram. I'm at globetrotting_stitcher. So I think that does it for us. But we hope that you are having a fantastic autumn if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, great spring if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And we hope you're enjoying all of your stitching. We hope that the frog is staying away from you, and we will look forward to seeing you again in a couple weeks. So happy stitching. Bye, everybody.